Chelsea Football Club, there's nothing worse than an ex-player talking waffle once they leave you. And Kai Havertz is now at Arsenal, and all of a sudden, Arsenal's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He needs to be having digs at Chelsea. I'm going to tell you what he said. He's going to regret this in a few years' time. Furthermore, Reece James looks like he's giving us a little indication, a little bit of a hint. Looks like he's coming back because him and Enzo Fernandez have been talking on Instagram publicly, and they're making it clear the guy looks like he's ready to be fit. And finally, we need to talk about tomorrow's game in the Conference League. Chelsea are playing in the Conference League. We've got the breakdown from the press conference, as we always do. We're going to preview the match that Chelsea are going to have in the Conference League. Let's get into it. But before we get started, it's a new month. It's a new day. You walk into the house, you still take your shoes off. So we come into the Kavkas View, you still hit that like button, and we get it cracking because it's the best way you support the channel. And if you're new, subscribe. We're aiming for 40,000 by the end of the year. It's a steep one, but if you not subscribe, it'll happen. So Kai Havertz has left Chelsea and joined Arsenal, and all of a sudden, averaging the same amount of goals, averaging the same level of performances, Kai Havertz is rated. And why? Because Arsenal are winning games, and Arsenal are actually a semi-credible threat. In my lifetime, I'm not going to lie to you, what Arsenal have been is our whipping boys. We used to slap them left, right and centre, and we used to basically tell them, you lot talk a lot of waffle, but when it comes to Arsenal versus Chelsea, we're better than you in every single way. However, in recent times, Arsenal have really redeveloped, right? In the last 5 years, Arteta's made Arsenal into a very credible threat, and they could have won the league on 2 occasions, but they didn't. They had a decent run in the Champions League, got to the quarters the same way as Chelsea did the year prior, but everyone treated it like it's marvellous. And now, the interesting part is Kai Havertz is out here waffling. And what did Kai Havertz say? Well, before their game against PSG, Kai Havertz decided that it was time for him to talk and said, you know what? Winning the Champions League was a nice feeling, but it will be even nicer to win it with Arsenal. It will mean a lot more. Firstly, Kai Havertz, this is the second or third time he's been taking jabs at Chelsea Football Club since he's left. What I'm going to say is, I liked Kai Havertz while he was at Chelsea. I thought he was a very good player. I did not want Kai Havertz to leave. I thought there was a good player in there in the right system where we're trusting him to be a secondary goal scorer rather than a primary goal scorer, as Arsenal should be doing. There is a very good, competent, league-winning player in there. However, now that Kai Havertz is gone, he's doing that thing that exes do, right? They go away, oh, he was ugly anyway, I never loved him anyway, he was horrible, he was doing this, he was doing that. They only remember the negatives. And the positives just don't get acknowledged. And the reality is, Kai Havertz, when you retire, you're going to regret this. Especially if Arsenal continue to be the Arsenal that I've seen in my lifetime. You're not going to win the Champions League. You're not going to win the Premier League. You're not going to win anything meaningful there. So when you retire, age like 35 or something, if you've been at Arsenal this whole period, the likelihood is you're not going to win a Champions League ever again. So the one Champions League you had, that nice feeling, that would have been even nicer with Arsenal, is going to be the only feeling you get. And I'm not sitting here being bitter that he's moved on and moved to another club. Look, he's left, Mount left, we got Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer. I feel like in the long term we've upgraded. However, I will say one thing. He does have a little bit of a case to be bitter. And purely based on the fact that for a man that scored the second most important goal in our history, first one being winning the Champions League when Didier Drogba scored it and then we went to penalties and won it. The second one being that winner against Manchester City. He does not get nowhere near enough of the plaudits, love and adulation from their fans. Everybody were booing him when he was Chelsea player. They booed him even more when he left. Then he scored a brace against us and everybody went nuts. Like everybody went nuts, were super angry, anti-Kai. And I just think this is a toxic relationship at this moment in time. And I don't partially blame him, but at the same time, I think he's going to live to regret those words. We spoke about former players. Now it's time to talk about a current player, even though a lot of people pretend like Reece James isn't a Chelsea player anymore. And I kind of get you why. Reece James looks like he's very close to returning. Reece James the other day has posted a picture on Instagram where it's him and Enzo Fernandez. They're walking and he said, long story short, I'm doing well. Hope to see you guys soon. Next thing you know, Enzo Fernandez comments below, vamos hermano. Vamos hermano is like, we go brother, right? Let's go brother. The reality is, Reece must be close because number one, Reece hasn't posted on Instagram in a while. And Reece basically gave one of those like spams. He put like 8-9 pictures. And the fact that he's saying, hope to see you soon. Long story short, I'm doing well. It means he is fixing up. It means the injury that initially was meant to keep him out for 2 games and now it's 6 games into the Premier League season, it's wearing off. But what I am going to say is, take your time. Like, genuinely, in my head, Reece James doesn't play for Chelsea anymore. Until Reece James is 100% fit and can come back and be drip-fed into this squad, nice and slowly. As long as Malo Gusto's fit, I ain't got no problems. I trust Malo Gusto perfectly. I think we have got one of the best right backs in the league in Malo Gusto. So for me, there is no biggie because I got Malo Gusto in this city. Like, genuinely, it's very easy. Reece James just needs to recover. Am I saying Reece James is not a good player and we can play without him? I think he's a wonderful player, but I do think we can play without him. We've shown it. We've had a good start to the season. We haven't had Reece for 2 years. What's a couple more weeks or a couple more months gonna change? It is what it is. Chelsea are playing Gent in the Conference League, and a lot of people have been saying, you know what, Alex, I'm really excited for the Conference League, Gaze. And I said, you know what, Gazer, you should be excited for the Conference League. It's an opportunity for us to win 3 trophies. Enzo Maresca will get very upset at me for saying that because it's the first game week and he's absolutely against people talking about us winning it at this moment in time. What's he said in a press conference? Well, number one, he said they're going to give a lot of the players that played against Barrow a good opportunity. They played well against Barrow, and now it's a chance for them to come in and grasp it by the scruff of their neck and basically take this opportunity again. He wants the players who performed well to get another opportunity and be raring to go. I think that's a very good logistical thing to do. They all played well. We won 5-0. What's the worst that can happen? Use the same players again. 11 changes it is. Roberto Sanchez made a mistake on the weekend. Not one, he made 2. The first one is more ludicrous than the second one. The second one can happen purely based on the fact that you're playing out the back, right? And Enzo Maresca actually said that. He said, look, mistakes happen. Robert Sanchez isn't the one that only made the mistake. Malo got the yellow card. Malo lost the ball. Malo, passed it back to Robert Sanchez. Sanchez made a mistake. It's a team mistake error. Like, you can't just pinpoint to one person and say this is their fault. For me, he's being kind. The other goal for the first goal, it's definitely his fault. Furthermore, he was asked about Philippe Jørgensen and said Philippe Jørgensen's doing a very good job. And he said he's playing well, but he's not playing well to put pressure on Robert Sanchez. Basically, what he's saying is Jørgensen's doing well, but Sanchez, you still have another chance. I'm telling you now, Robert, you continue doing that, big man, you will be dropped. You will be dropped. And as long as Jørgensen just keeps up steady performances, keeps winning games here and there, we're not going to be complaining at all. Right, Enzo Maresca in press conferences, for me, I can't lie to you, top tier. Top. As he would say, top. The reason he's top is because this guy takes no prisoners in press conference. Cesare Casadei tried to be a little bit cheeky. He said, you know what, with your fullback problems, do you regret not putting Ben Chilwell into the squad? And he said, what fullback problems? And honestly, the tone in his voice, yeah, if he could, he would have slapped him. He's like, what fullback problems? And he's like, oh yeah, but Reece has been out. He's like, so? I don't regret it. I don't regret it. No, I don't regret it. And he's right. What's there to regret? You got Josh Achimpong. You've got as cover. You got Desassi evidently as cover. And you got Malo Gusto, who's the second choice. And Reece has been out. What were you going to do? Buy another right back? No. How does Ben Chilwell's inclusion impact the fullbacks? Like, the reality is, Cucurella's first choice, Viega's second choice, and after that, you got Ben Chilwell third choice emergency. And even then, I'd still put a youngster in over Benny Boy. But it's all well and good. The less I see of Benny Boy at Chelsea, the better. Happy day. The fact that we have such a big squad, the media now is trying to stir up some negativity, right? It's as simple as that. Look, when they're winning, negativity will be seeked, right? They're going to be moving around. They're going to be tossing and turning. They're going to try to find something. When we lose, it's easy. You know what I mean? Oh, Chelsea got 60 players. Oh, and they're losing. Oh, they're terrible. However, in this case now, it's getting interesting because they're asking him, oh, Kieran Dewsbury Hall has been left out the squad. Why was it? Is he injured or did you just leave him out? And he said, look, we play in a lot of competitions. We have a lot of competitions in our squad, right? There's a lot of players. I'm going to have to leave players out. And the reality is only 7 can make the bench, right? 11 start, 7 make the bench. There's gonna be at least 5 or 6 that are unhappy on a weekly basis. Cesare Casadei was left out. I don't see anyone moaning about that. Kane Chukwuemeka was left out. No one's moaning about that. Badiashile was left out. No one's mentioned that. But Drewsbury Hall, apparently it's a problem. And he said, look, Kieran's a good player. He will get his opportunity. He just has to take it. And for me, this is the best way to talk about it. Furthermore, they try to instigate something with Mudryk. And they're like, oh, Mudryk hasn't started any games in the Premier League yet. What does he have to do to get into the squad? And he said, look, I've spoken to you guys about this before, and I love that. He goes, and he's also started against Wolves. So he has had his opportunities, but he needs to do more. And for me, this is a very simple issue. And a lot of people and a lot of content creators are most probably going to be tiptoeing around this issue and they're not going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you straight. Mudryk's not been good enough to start in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. And personally speaking, he was decent against Barrow, but it's Barrow. Like this is the key thing here, right? Nkunku was decent against Barrow. Well, great against Barrow. He didn't even get a start. So what makes you think a decent performance from Mudryk earns him a start? Tomorrow, big man, Conference League. This is where you need to step up and show us a bit more. This is where you need to put in another good performance, and then we can say, oh, Mudryk's putting a claim on Sancho now. Is Sancho going to step up on the weekend? And just like that, you build that competitive spark, that competitive edge, and it's great news for Chelsea. And honestly, the way Enzo Maresca answered it was perfect. He said, I know he's a big name player, just like you said. However, Nkunku was a big name player when we signed him. Doesn't mean he's playing every weekend. And for me, Neto's an expensive player. Why is Neto not playing? Like genuinely, we have a lot of expensive players. Players aren't meant to play because of their price tags. They're meant to play because of their performances. So this whole agenda pushing Mudryk now to get negative energy out there on Chelsea, don't like it. I really don't. He was asked a question on Cesare Casadei as well, and Cesare Casadei is an interesting one because what Enzo Maresca said is he brings physicality, he's an 8, and more importantly, he's somebody that can give them something they're missing in the middle of the park, and he can be very steady, he can take up the position, and he can just do his job basically. And for me, when I watched him against Barrow, Cesare Casadei did not look out of place. I actually thought he had a great game. And I even said, he's not going to be fit enough to play for the Premier League games, because obviously he's Barrow, but I want to see more of him in the Conference League. And based on what Enzo Maresca said, we're going to be seeing him. He said he's worked with him in the past, he's keen to see what he does, and he's got good intangibles that are going to be very necessary at Chelsea. And for me, this is a player that has got basically a year to save his career at Chelsea. Because if it doesn't work out, Andrea Santos is coming back next year, and when Santos comes back, he's going to try to take that spot. I promise you, Romeo is going to be fitter, Caicedo, Enzo, and Casadei or Santos, or Ogachukwu. One of the three is going to stay. The other two, they're going to have to move on. Genuinely, this is what's going to happen. The final thing I want to talk about today is what Enzo Maresca said in terms of performances and results. They asked him, oh, you know what, like, are you happy of being on the positive end of these crazy thrillers, but do you not want more control? And he goes, of course I want more control. However, results are important, like for you guys. For me, it's the performances. I really liked what we done in the second half of Brighton. And he's like, oh, but you didn't score. You drew the second half against Brighton when you won the first half. And he's like, yes, but the performances were better. We had more clear-cut chance. We limited them to more. And this is what I spoke about the other day, right? Wolves' second half, Brighton's second half was just absolutely amazing in terms of what we limited them to and how many chances we created. Furthermore, he went on to say that Palace was one of the better performances and he's just very happy overall with the club. And for me, this is just common sense. Like, you need to focus on performances and sustainability. Performances build sustainability. Results are short-term success if the performances are whack. It's as simple as that. Too many people like to just look at the paper and say, oh, we've won 6 games, we're great. How did you win those 6 games? Is it sustainable? Are we going to be able to re-implement it in the future? For me, it's all about building upon building blocks. The next 5 games in the Premier League are massive. I think we've got Newcastle, Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Nottingham Forest. If we can get 10 points from those 15, oh my days, we are going to be in a very good position coming that Christmas period. Genuinely, we're going to come into December where we've got a nicer run in. We're going to be in a great position. But in regards to tomorrow's game, it's going to be heavily rotated. I hope we win. I want to keep that feel-good atmosphere going even more. I want us to lay a claim, put down a stake that we are in this competition And we just shouldn't be here. We're too good. Them ones, we're the party crashers. We're here to make sure none of you have fun. We're gonna come, slap you, dance a couple tunes, and walk out. And everyone's gonna be like, hey, I can't wait till Chelsea leave this competition. Because they're definitely gonna win it. The rest of us want a chance. But like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts. Peace out, I'm out. Have a lovely day, peeps. Bye.